Yeah. Yeah, all right, let me get this going. Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy, man. I'm sorry I'm running late, but you guys are pretty much used to that by now. And we should have a pretty good conversation tonight. You ain't got to worry. Ain't going to be no surprises on the screen tonight. I promise you that. You don't have to worry about it. No surprises on the screen. But anyway, we're going to talk about, at least one possible coaching candidate and a couple of guys in the later rounds of the draft. Also talk about some NBA updates, some of those type of things. And then we'll just have, some call-in sessions. We'll just talk about whatever we talk about. I got Guillermo here in the chat. Get Guillermo over here. Guillermo, what's going on, man? Oh, I'm good. Hold on 1 second. For some reason, here we go again. Let me get your voice up there and going. All right, there we go. Now we're good. So what's going on with you, man?
Chilling, man. Working a lot, man. I messed up my lower back. Trying to do some ghetto squats with with like this big load of laundry that I got from the laundromat. It was dumb, man. You gotta be smart and stretch out. So I'm with this stupid the alien heating pad. Yeah, I said I had trying to really everything is good, man. Everything else is good, man.
Yeah, I remember that. Doing prison push-ups or something.
It was stupid, man. Because I had the thing on my back. I was carrying and I didn't know I had that much laundry. So, I mean, salute to them. The way they fold the clothes is like, it's crazy. So I think they probably do like some air packaging or whatever they do. And so I get back like, let me just do a few. So I end up doing like 50 or 60 of them. Next morning, I get up. No, I tie it back. In the night, excuse me. I think it was after your stream 2 nights ago. I got up and I was like, yo, what the hell? And I was like, is it because of the way I'm sitting? And I was like, yo, this don't make no sense. It's not like I was like slouching or anything. And I was just like, I couldn't flatten out I guess like my back and like my hip. And I was like, oh, it was probably because I didn't stretch. I didn't do anything. Because like even when I try to do little workouts now, I do push-ups and then I'll stretch before I run to and fro to Barclays Center. But that was just dumb. I don't know why I did that. Because I was carrying it, even when I was outside, I carried out. I got food from Sweet Greens, and I got a wrench and some other little utensils, some toilet paper, paper towels and stuff. So I was carrying it, and I came home and was doing the squats, and I haven't done squats in so long, so it was probably very dumb to start with that much weight. But anyway, these are just stupid tales of Guillermo's idiocy. So no need to just stupid, idiotic.
Hey man, happens to all of us, man. Trust me, happens to all of us. Anyway, the NBA, man. So it sounds like the NBA may not try to get started. Well, it sounds like the NBA may look towards sometime in July to get started, and they're going to settle in on a 70-game season.
Right. Yeah, I heard like the Lakers were talking about that they wanted to open up their facilities. I think right now I think they're ready to open it. I think it's just going to come down to money, because obviously, even though there might not be any fans, whoever gets these players there, I'm pretty sure they're going to get paid somehow. So whoever's going to, house these games or showcase these games are going to get paid. So I don't think it's necessarily a whole thing anymore, because soccer started up, the Bundesliga in Germany started up. I think Premier League, these guys are training. So, you've heard some players here to and fro, you're talking about, safety. I think James Harden said he wants to make sure everything's safe. But I put money on it. When the money starts rolling in, James Harden's going to be down for it. So, it's interesting. I've heard. Oh, my bad.
No, I'm saying, of course he's going to be down for it. I mean, he'll be down for it. He'll be down for it.
Did you hear about Bradley Beal possibly going to the Nets now?
I heard about that.
I'm not scared. I actually love it.
I heard about that. I mean, if you think about it, it's probably a good fit, him there at shooting guard.
Nope.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Why not?
Sim, we're talking about two head cases, right, that need the ball a lot. You're talking about Kyrie Irving, who I think, honestly, I really think the issue with Kyrie Irving and Atkinson is because Kyrie Irving did not want to play the traditional. He wanted to over dribble, see if he score in the last minute pass it. They're going to have KD, who, again, needs the ball in his hands to be effective. Don't get me wrong. KD is a superlative talent. He can play good weak side defense, but his bread and butter is scoring. And he needs the ball in his hands. He's not, he's not Jokic. He's not a guy who's going to facilitate and do other things to be effective. And then you bring in on Bradley Beal, who is a volume shooter, who I don't know what he's shooting, but I think last time I checked, he was shooting like maybe low mid to mid 40s from the field. I think 38% from three. I could be wrong, so somebody's probably, I'm pretty sure I'm probably wrong now. But I just don't see. Whenever you need guys who need the ball a lot, three guys, it really works out to what you think it will be. Just because you stack a lot of talent, if you don't have the chemistry, and with those guys, there's no system. And remember, Bradley Beal is the same guy who had those issues with John Wall because I think it was like they were both vying for who's the alpha in the team. And the alpha for those Wizards teams, like who's going to have the ball in crunch time moments, who's going to be the main scorer, and you bring him on with the Nets. And Bradley Beal's in his prime where he's looking like, he probably thinks he'd go to another team and be a 1A type scorer, maybe a 1B. I don't think he's going to work with those three, man.
I don't know, man. I think like as far as Bradley Beal, I think that Bradley Beal, knows how to play off the ball and not have to, continuously have the ball in his hand. I think he knows how to play off the ball and can play off the ball.
Passing him the ball.
I mean, you get. You're gonna have to get the right coach that's gonna, do whatever. But there'll be times when, look, what did Kyrie Irving average in assists? How many assists he averaged?
Well, that's not. It's that again. There has to be context. Remember, Allen Iverson averaged 8-9 assists a game, but he was not a facilitator. So he averaged this year or half a year, whatever we want to call it. He averaged 6.4 assists a game.
Uh-huh.
And then if you looked at that team, Sim, they did not gel as well because Kyrie Irving would hold the ball from a lot of the possessions. Now, I mean, D'Angelo Russell was there. You can call D'Angelo Russell a scoring point guard. But to me, I don't. Let me look up his assists. And I'm not just going by assists, but from the games I watched of the Nets versus the game with D'Angelo versus Kyrie, that team had a lot more chemistry because they ran that high pick and roll, pass out to perimeter. That's why guys like Joe Harris got hot. LeVert found his way with that team because D'Angelo Russell, even though he was scoring, he was also pushing the ball a lot more to other guys. So he averaged. Brooklyn. He averaged 7 assists a game. That last year with Brooklyn.
I don't know, man. I think it can work. I mean, I think they can find a way to make it mesh, man. Bradley Beal doesn't really need.
They're gonna get a puppet head coach, and they're gonna get Tyronn Lue.
I mean, we don't know. I don't know who they're gonna get, but Bradley Beal can run off screens. He played that role with the Wizards because he had to play that role with the Wizards. But he can come off screens. He can shoot. He can play off the ball. He can spot up, shoot. He can run off screens. He can do those type of things.
He can do it, Sam. Kyrie Irving can facilitate. KD can play. But is that what they want to do? And this is why I think it's important, right? In terms of coaching, those three are going to have to get a coach they respect. Because, again, Bradley Beal is in his prime. Now, you said it straight. Yes, he can do those things. But remember, when he was playing with John Wall and it was a fight between who's the main alpha dog on that team, that's where a lot of their friction came from that. And so if you have Bradley Beal and Kyrie Irving, yes, Bradley Beal can run around screens or wait in the perimeter and wait for Kyrie Irving to razzle-dazzle and finally pass out to him. But he don't want that. He's getting money out of the Wizards and he wants to leave. So he wants to win. But with Kyrie Irving in the prime of his career, I don't think he's going to take a backseat. Now, if it was Bradley Beal and KD, maybe that could work. But KD, Kyrie, and bro, that ball is not going to move around. Then you're going to have Dinwiddie, who's trying to leave with his, someone pay me in crypto and I'll leave. Yeah, that means you knew you effed up by bringing on Kyrie. Now you want to leave. And Joe Harris, who, what you just said, Sim, what Bradley Beal coming off screens and raining on perimeter, that's Joe Harris's bread and butter. So he might be the only guy to benefit, but he's not going to get looks too. If you bring Bradley Beal on,
I don't know, man. Mark, Isaiah, what's going on, man? We're getting into the Knicks. We're just talking a little NBA before we get into the Knicks, but we're getting into the Knicks.
Hey, what's going on, Sam? Yeah, it's funny. I was just signing up for Sportscaster. Yeah, man. We're talking basketball just in general, man. It's good news. The NBA is coming back, and
you're kind of low. You're kind of low, Isaiah.
I'm kind of low. You hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Hold on.
If you had headphones in, it'd be a little more clear. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm just charging my tablet.
Well, listen, it's cool to see basketball on television through these conditions, but it's kind of iffy because you stop playing ball for almost 3 months to resume it again. Like these guys need time to work out. 2-3 weeks to get in game shape. Do you know how are they going to play the regular season or are they going to go straight to the playoffs?
Well, so what's come out recently is that they may have a 70-game season. So I don't know how many games are we in right now? How many games have the Knicks played right now?
We are.
Yeah, we're about 60. We're about 60 because 20 games left. It's 20 games left in the season.
Yeah, we're about 60. About 60. Yeah. So you're talking, 10 more games. I'm not exactly sure what the Knicks record is right now, but it's 60 something. They were 21 and 40 something, right? So you're talking 60 something.
Why I'm
maybe
kinda
8-9
iffy,
games left to play.
You know why I'm kind of iffy? Imagine if they start playing, right? And the Clippers go against the Lakers and Kawhi or either LeBron catches something. They have to sit out. Now, how would that be fair for people that's watching and for the Lakers or the Clippers if one of these players end up catching the career for resuming the game? Like, that can still happen.
True. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to do – listen, I agree with you. I think that they should just –
just stop. You know what it is?
But that's not going to happen because they want to fulfill these contracts. So basically, you remember back a couple of years ago, when, the salary cap jumped really high, right? Yeah. It jumped really high because they received some money from these TV contracts.
Yeah, the TV revenue. But the thing is, Sim, the NBA players, they got paid. They got paid for what they got paid for the season.
Right. But what I'm saying is, as far as the NBA is concerned,
they want the rest of that TV money.
Well, they already got the money. They got to fulfill the contract.
Yeah, but
you see what I'm saying? So these TV companies is like, yo, we want to fulfill these contracts. We paid you money up front because, that's how it works a lot of times. You get so much money up front, then you got to fulfill the contracts. Okay, Ishmael Rivas said the Knicks have played 66 games. So if they're doing a 7-game season, that's 4 more games. I don't understand what would be the reason for the Knicks to come back and play 4 more games.
That's like putting players in risk, man. Like, you have to give this pandemic a little more time. A little more time. Because it's
You heard that, Mark.
Yeah, I know, because it's a lot of politics, man. But it is what it is. For people to feel ease, that's why James Harden feels away. He feels away. He already got paid his money. He feels away coming back because people got sick. People are actually dying. I still want to see all these numbers of people dying, in my case. But some people have caught it. But that. It's basketball. It's not like it's needed. You know what I mean? It's not a necessity.
Nah, I agree with you. I agree. So tell me, what happens? What do you think happens if they say, the NBA says, okay, we're coming back, but then some players decide, I'm not coming back?
I feel like there's going to be players like that. You know what's so funny? I feel like because the big stars from LeBron and Chris Paul and all of them being the forefront of it, it's going to force the players that are role players and et cetera to come back and play. But then again, too, Sim, a lot of the role players, I think, still again, they don't make as much money as the big stars. So
Right.
a lot of the money for next year, going into next year, can affect them more than the top guys. But the top guys are kind of selfish because some of the top guys, the ones like LeBron James, want to play so bad because he know his time is ticking. You get what I'm saying? So that's why he in forefront and he want to play because his time is ticking. But it's selfish. It is selfish for those top players. I don't care who it is, for them to come back and say they want to play. Especially they got families and stuff like that. Why do you want to say that you're going to be around but playing a game that's not even needed, bro? It's not a this is a life death situation right now that's going on because some people are dying, and then for you to be rubbing against people and stuff like that, I'm coming off the train today, and I don't necessarily have my mask on. People looking at me wild crazy. So
I'm sure they are.
So it's like I'm not even near them. So it's like, why would you want to be going rubbing against people's sweat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? It's just forceful. Where I'm from, we call it forceful. It's forceful right now. And them star players are selfish, man. They are selfish because they got paid $8 big bucks. And they want to play, and they got their own agenda. But go ahead out there.
Oh, let me get Isaiah unmuted. All right, go ahead, Isaiah.
You can hear me better now, sir?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Shout out to Mark for not wearing a mask, being the only one in the train not wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's been 2 months. I haven't.
Mark would be the one dude to not wear a mask. He would be the one dude.
Hey, Mark, I ain't gonna front. I would have probably looked at you crazy too. Like, yo, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying?
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay for people to look at me crazy. I take it as a grain of salt, but I'm just saying from a from a general aspect.
Yeah, but oh my God. To basically just chime in what Guillermo and Mark was saying. Like they said, it's not a necessity when it comes to NBA. I think again, I agree with you with a lot of these. It's more on the TV side. These people, they like, yo, we paid you. We want our money. We want our money's worth.
Right.
So I see that, and then also I mean, again, I don't feel bad for any. I can't feel bad for a millionaire. It's just not in my heart to feel bad for a millionaire. I just can't do it. So I mean, for some of these guys that do the 1 year deals, I think, listen, you're still getting paid more than the average person. You know what I'm saying?
So they got. Listen,
I'm not feeling bad. You cannot tell me I'm gonna feel bad for somebody that tries to live above their means. You feel me? If you're
Oh, he froze up. Oh, go ahead, Isaiah. I thought you froze up. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Hey, my connection good, man. I got the Xfinity.
I mean, it did freeze up for a second, though. But.
But shut up, Guillermo. Shut up. No, but I mean, it's going to be good for a lot of these teams. Again, for me personally, Sam, I don't need to see the Knicks. If it's true that we play 66 games, why the hell do we need to play 4 more?
Seriously.
That make no sense.
It makes no sense
for someone to get sick, right? And you have the potential of dying.
Yeah, like Mark's saying, it's just a sit.
Spend time with your family.
And I'd be real with you too, Sim. How can I say this? For certain players on the Knicks, like Julius Randle, that the writing's pretty much on the wall that no one wants him in the Knicks uniform no more. It's going to be a little awkward because they're not stupid. They're in the house. They know they're reading. I know they're reading articles. Julius Randle knows that nobody really wants him on the Knicks, and his time is pretty much over. You got April Payne. He's not going to be here. Then we don't know about Dennis Smith and all that other stuff. So it's going to be a little awkward for these guys to come back on the court, especially with all these reports coming out of certain players not really liking Julius Randle because he spins into double teams and all that crap. But that to me, that's just a waste of time. Let these guys, let the teams that are not in the playoffs just not play. We know the draft positions. Again, I mean, personally, it kind of sucks because I kind of want LaMelo Ball, and maybe if we lost a couple more games, it is what it is. But it's the lottery, so we just got to go with the lottery and how it goes. But listen, man, it's for these teams that are lower. Any team that's not fighting for position, it should be really the 9th seed and up that should be playing. Everybody else should not play. And that's what it is, man. This is just a waste of time for like the Knicks, the Hawks, the Grizzlies. Well, not the Grizzlies, the Warriors. Like even Steve Kerr said, it's no point for the Warriors to play, even though they got the number one spot. There's no point.
Yeah, I get it, but this will end up affecting the players though too, right? Because if they don't play, there is a chance that the NBA would have to return some of the money or something like that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying there's a chance. And if that happens, then that impacts the basketball-related income. The players, they get 49 to 51% of that basketball-related income, right? So that means it won't affect the players that have guaranteed contracts. But if that salary cap goes down, the players that are free agents in the summer, they're not getting paid as much as they thought they were getting paid. Right? Because they don't have that basketball-related income. So it does impact the players.
Sam, I would say on that, the stars are going to get paid.
The stars?
The stars are going to get paid regardless.
I mean, yes, you're right. You know that. The stars are going to get paid, but what about the other guys?
If you're talking about the other guys, a lot of the other guys shouldn't be getting paid what they get paid now. So it's kind of better for like when we talk about our salary cap. Some of these guys shouldn't be getting paid $18, $20 million.
Listen, I get that, right? Yeah. But we're talking about guys that are going to be free agents this summer, right? Who knows how much they would have gotten paid this summer?
Oh, I think a lot of guys with those contracts are going to opt in their contracts.
I mean, but some guys don't have the option. Some guys don't have the option to opt in. So with those guys that do not have the option, then money is going to be tight. So I think the NBA Players Association, they're probably looking at that as well. Like, okay, like the Players Association is there to protect the players. The NBA is going to protect the NBA. The coaches group, whoever I guess that makes up the NBA, they're going to protect their finances as well. The association has to protect the players. They're going to look at that too and say, if this BRI goes down, and salary caps go down, then these players this summer going to be hurting, right? So, looking at it from a player standpoint, some players may say, yeah, I want to come back, because we want to make sure that the NBA doesn't have to give money back to the television stations and stuff like that.
And on top of that, Tim, remember, they lost about over 100 million from the China too. They lost in revenue. They lost about over 100 million in China.
Right. So
I mean, Sim. At the end of the day, man, I want people to understand that the salary cap is going to go down.
It's going to go down, bro.
It's going to go down. People got to realize that the salary cap is going to go down. So,
but it's not going to go down by wait, what is it now?
I think it's 109.
So it's projected to be. It was projected to be 115 million. So there's ways if you don't lose, depending on how much money you lose. So there's ways that they can break that up, so that it doesn't hit as hard, so that they can break it up and make it go into other seasons. I explained it before on one of the shows where they can make it go. They can make the loss. Be taken up in other seasons so that the salary cap doesn't go down as much. But if if that basketball related income goes down a whole lot, then there's no way you can really do it.
But Sam, how much do you think it's going to go down?
I know it's hard to say, man. If they don't
think
have the
it's gonna
season,
be too crazy though.
If they don't have the season, right. So I was reading probably the same thing that you were reading, Mark, from Bobby Marks. If they do not have the season, then maybe it goes from 115 million, what was projected, down to 95. Right? That's 20 million. That's a hit.
That's a lot.
That is a hit. Yeah. No. That is a hit, but that is a blessing in disguise just for a competitive, when you look at the landscape of the league, because the more money there is the more of that super team that's trying to be creative, and people are trying to knock that down. A lot of people just tired of seeing that. So it kind of benefits for people that want to watch, teams with their 2 stars, et cetera, and not the third guy being another all-star type player. So it's kind of good, and it kind of balanced out where people are supposed to be paid from how they play, not overpay this player because the money's available. No. So 95 from 150, $20 million, I wouldn't mind. Honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
because a lot of these players,
I would not.
Get your money, but a lot of these players, Fred VanVleet was going to be looking for 18 to 20 mil next year.
Yeah, he was going to get that. He was going to get that.
But honestly, are you going to pay Fred VanVleet over that to be your starting point guard? The only reason why he's good for Toronto is because he's playing with guys that's better than him. He's like the fourth guy. But to pay him to be the starting point guard?
That's actually market value for him, Mark, because Bobby Porter's got $15 million. You tell me, you know what I mean? I'm not sold on Fred VanVleet.
Bobby Porter got $15 million because what the Knicks, the amount of money the Knicks just gave away.
Steve Mills.
He was going to get $15 million nowhere else. So don't even put the Knicks in that category. Fred VanVleet is no 18 to 20 million.
A lot of players got played. Even like Miles Plumlee got $11-12 million.
Yeah, but because it's extra money out there, so NBA teams just throw money out.
Well, but Mark, you gotta understand though, Mark. It's you gotta account inflation though when it comes to a lot of this stuff because
you're right. No,
it's really based on inflation because these players that are getting $20 million, they would have been $11 million players if the cap was more lower, but they're just fixing with the inflation because of the cap so much. So that's really what it is. That's why you're seeing these players. That's why you're seeing. Honestly, if this was 2010. Fred VanVleet would have got $9 million. He would have got $9 million. But because the cap space is so high, he's gonna get $20 million, so it's gonna balance itself out. So he gets the extra $10 million.
As good as Fred is, right? I like Fred. The most I would pay him to come on my roster is 15. Because why? He's not a guy who I can give over 15 and he's gonna be consistent for me every night. He has his games where he's just a bench player, bro.
But Mark, I know you got
the value of the league.
I'm about to say you can't do that though.
Yeah, you're right. No, y'all both right. So let me ask you this one question, right? So remember the dilemma I said the Knicks have with the money issues and the deals that's coming up, right?
Right.
I read something, right? Because me and Andrew was talking the other night. Mitchell Robinson, when his extension, what he's looking for. Guess how much it is? $16 million per year. He's nearly about to get paid. I think it's close to $70 million, $64 million.
Where'd you get that from? That he's looking for that much? Because he's still got like 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah, but Sam,
and the Knicks have all the options.
No, the Knicks have all the options, right?
But listen, Mark, that means he's underpaid. He underpaid for the money his production.
It still don't stop the team. It still don't stop the agents for asking for the extension. Then he could be an unrestricted free agent next year.
Yeah, but Mark, you understand he underpaid for his production. 9.7 points and 7 rebounds, and look what the money he's getting. He's underpaid.
The reason why he got that deal is because when we drafted him and he hasn't played a lick of college basketball.
But still, anyway, he's underpaid for his production. You just said it, guy. You just said out your mouth, guys need to get paid for their production. He ain't getting paid.
Do you think he's a $16 million if that's what he's going to ask for his extension?
Well, see, I don't know what he is when that time comes because believe it or not, the Knicks have to decide whether or not they want to keep him and waive him by June 29th, I think it is, of this year. Obviously, they're going to keep him, right?
Yeah, they're going to keep him. And then
they have that same option next summer, I think. Okay, so he's on the books. The Knicks have all the options, and they can ask for an extension. But if the Knicks don't want to give him an extension, or if the Knicks don't want to renegotiate that contract, they don't have to. And he's on the books for, what he's making. I don't. I have to see what he does over the next 2 years. I can't say anything now.
Yeah, that's what I said to Andrew. I said for me to pay him over that, he would have to have some type of like Rudy Gobert sort of impact defensively. If he's defensively that good, I will give him the money. But if he plays the way he's playing, but increases scoring a little bit, I don't look at him as a scoring option at all because he don't have the offensive repertoire to even be considered to get paid over that type of money. But I was telling people because they are in a peculiar spot with paying money to players that aren't developed in a way where you say, okay, I will give it to him. Just like with Frank, when his extension come up, he's going to be looking over $10 million. He's going to be looking for 4 years, 5 years deals. And it's like, do you really want to pay him that? Now, if he put it to a consistency like Marcus Smart, I'd have threw him that money.
Your volume, Gamble.
I'd have threw him that money.
Well, see, I think with Frank, is going to understand his value for what he is right now. Yeah, he has to. Cool. He has to, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yes, he may look for a longer-term contract so that he can get more money, right? So it's longer term, but per year, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Sim. Hey, Sim.
Yeah. Last thing, then I'm going to get on with some of the things I want to talk about. But go ahead.
I was going to say that with Frank, Frank and his agent have to know that Frank is an $8 to $10 million player. Mitchell Robinson, like Mark said, if I'm going to pay Mitchell Robinson north side of 15 million, 16 million, 18 million right now, I need to get at least a solid, 14, 10 rebounds, at least 3 blocks a game.
Mm-hmm. It has to have
impact defensively. Like those can't be empty stats. I need those stats to, those got to be some good defensive stats for Mitchell Robinson. It can't be what he's been doing, because of what he's been doing, the Knicks are just going to keep doing what you were saying they're going to do and not want to extend them until we see some real solid production that keeps going. You know what I'm saying? Like those last couple of weeks with what's his name, DeAndre Jordan, with the way Mitchell's playing. If Mitchell's playing like that, oh man, I'll give him $15 million like it ain't nothing.
Right. Well, I wouldn't mind giving it to him because
Gilmore, your mic, bro, it can't hear you, Mike.
It only came up because I was saying to Andrew, what if the Knicks took Wiseman? I said because I look at Wiseman right now, and the kid can do. The kid, I think he's going to be an 18 to 20 point and a 10 rebound guy when he comes into the league. Because I'm just saying, if he fell to us and we just took him, because I would take him as a talent. I think he has high potential, and I wouldn't mind taking him. Because knowing that Mitch has a extension and the type of money he will be asking for, that could be reinsurance for us at that center spot.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to some of that. I want to talk about.
All right, go ahead.
I want to talk about a potential coaching candidate. All right, and then we'll get back and talk about some of these things going on with the NBA and the players and salary caps and all of that kind of stuff. I want you guys to listen and think about this, and tell me what you guys think. All right. Well, I'm not going to say anything special. I'm just going to introduce the guy. But how would you feel about having Coach Mike Woodson back with the Knicks with these young guys? All right, Coach Mike Woodson, obviously he coached with the Knicks a few years ago. All right, and he actually is the last coach to have a winning record with the New York Knicks. Okay, under Mike Woodson, the Knicks were 109-79. All right, that's a 58% winning percentage. Okay, he's been a coach for 21 years in the NBA, most of them as an assistant, 12 years as an assistant, 9 years as a head coach. He coached with Atlanta for 6 years. He coached with the Knicks for 3 years. Again, he was 109-79 as the head coach of the New York Knicks. He was actually 206-286, 206 wins, 286 losses with the Atlanta Hawks. But, I don't know if that totally tells the story, because when he took over as the head coach for the Hawks, they were 13-69 that first year. Okay, they were 13-69. They continued to climb. Then they were 26-56. Then they were 30-52. Then 37-45. Then 47-35. And then they were 53-29. Okay, so they continued to rise and continued to climb, throughout his time as head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. He became an assistant with the New York Knicks 2011-2012. He took over midway through the season when Coach Mike D'Antoni was let go. He was 18-6 during that time, or when Coach Mike D'Antoni resigned. Let me say that. He was 18-6 during that time. Then the next season, 2012-2013, he was 54-28. And then 13-14, obviously it was a underwhelming season. The Knicks were 37-45. I always thought that Mike Woodson did a good job as the coach of the Knicks. People complained about, ISO ball and that kind of stuff. I get it. You know what I mean? But I thought Mike Woodson, and there you go, Ghost Rider. And big shout out to you, Ghost Rider. Thank you for the super chat. I just seen what Ghost Rider just said. I like Woodson, but he is best coaching vets with an ISO main scorer. Maybe. Listen, when he was with Atlanta, he had ISO Joe. When he was with the Knicks, he had Melo. Now we haven't seen him coach a team that didn't have an ISO scorer, so we don't know what he can do with a team that doesn't have an ISO scorer. I don't know. But the one thing I will say is he did a good job. Jason said that was all Jason Kidd and not Mike Woodson. I mean, a lot of it was Jason Kidd. I'm not going to say it wasn't. A lot of it was Jason Kidd. That's without a doubt. But the year before, 2011, 2012, when he took over and they were 18-6, 12 games above 500 during his time, Jason Kidd wasn't on that team. Right? Jason Kidd wasn't on that team. Jason Kidd didn't come into the next year until 2012, 2013. Then 2013, 2014, there was mad injuries on that team. I don't know. I just want to get your take on it. I'm gonna get to a couple phone calls, and then I'm gonna come back to the guys in the video chat. All right, caller, you're on live with nothing but Knicks. What's popping?
With Mike Woodson, he was not this great.
Yo, Black is time. What's good, son?
That's why a lot of guys came in.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let me mute these guys in the video chat. Okay, there you go, Tony.
What's going on,
They
man?
was missing shots.
What we talking about?
Was gainable. They was missing shots.
Hold up. Once again, let me get these guys.
Hold on.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
Shout out to the chat, yo, Black is time. What's good, son? What we
I'm good,
about?
man. I'm good. So tell me, what would you think about Mike Woodson coming back as the coach for the Knicks?
Mike Woodson. I do think he got a raw deal. I think he did a good job, but maybe as an assistant, I would like. I could see that. Maybe I think he's more suited with a veteran roster.
Mm-hmm.
But like I could definitely see him alongside Atkinson for some more defensive structure or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know about a head coach.
So you think Mike Woodson is done being a head coach in the NBA?
Say that again. No, not done completely. I just say with our young roster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think like the more I think about it, he could probably do a good job with a Julius Randle. I could see him being a good coach for him. I could see him being a good coach for RJ Barrett as well, because he's a little bit more. He's not an average rookie, if you will. He definitely got the best out of J.R. Smith.
Right.
Even though a lot of people, like, that was a big complaint. I remember a lot of people complaining about the short leash that JR was on, but I looked at it a lot differently. I thought he did a heck of a job coaching J.R. Smith. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah, I get it. But I look at what he did in Atlanta, and maybe that was just a one-time thing. But when he took over, they were 13-69. Or the season he took over, that first season, they were 13-69. They had a young roster. And they climbed. The next season, they were 26-56. Season after that, they were 30-52. They got Joe Johnson, I think, in 2005, 2006. Joe Johnson came to the team. But he was young. He had only been in the league for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he was still young. 2006, 2007, they were 30-52. 2007, 2008, 37-45. 2008, 2009.
Always got better.
They were 47-35. They continued to climb. They let him go because I guess they didn't feel as though he was the guy that could get him over the top.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's a heck of a coach. He's a good coach. And I mean, there's a lot of good things that I like about him. I like the fact that he's not ashamed to go into assistant coaching position after being a head coach. He's one that's always going to continue to learn and get new ideas. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at all. I definitely wouldn't be mad at all. I never really thought about it. Yeah, I got to think about it a little bit more. He's definitely not like top choice, but I wouldn't be mad. He's always done a good job. He's always had a good rapport with players.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I look at. That's the one thing that I look at with him is I always thought that Mike Woodson was like he got the respect from everybody that was on the team. He kind of demanded the respect just because of who he was. And I think that this team needs someone like that. I'm not saying, I mean, listen, Kenny Atkinson is my choice, but I think that, the Knicks got to look at, they're probably going to look at anybody and everybody and anybody, and I'm sure he's learned a lot under Doc Rivers as well.
And honestly, I think he's a very similar coach to Mike Miller. Obviously, Miller doesn't have the same accolades as far as coaching in the highest level, but I see a lot of similarities between the two of them.
Yeah. I just seen somebody in the chat say, that they think Miller and Woodson would make a good team. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that as well.
Yeah. So what else going on with you, man?
Not much. I seen you was on. I heard them talking at Mitchell Robinson talking, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta call in real quick. I don't think I like Mitch, man. I think the gentleman who said he's overplaying his contract, that's a fact, 100%. Like that's not even a question. His production is in 22 minutes. A lot of that is his own fault with foul issues, but it's still great production for 22 minutes. Now, we've seen this before. We've seen this with Kyle O'Quinn. We've seen it with, a couple of different players who had great, production in limited minutes. But the fact that he's so young, the fact that, it's only his second year, I wouldn't give up on him. I would consider him untouchable. He's in like the top 10 or top 15 already in blocks in Knicks history. Like
yeah. He's already right. He's already ranked with the.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
He if the season ends right now, I think he has the highest shooting percentage in NBA history. Right now, today,
if the season ends, yes, he would
continue?
end. Yes, he would end with the highest shooting percentage in history. Of course, you know those percentages. He only shot 1 to 2 jump shots this season. So
that's fine. I mean, again, I said this last year, and I'll say it again. And I'm not. If he doesn't develop any game, any post moves or anything, and just relies on what he's able to do right now, he's still a very good player. I anticipate him learning post moves. I anticipate him shooting jump shots. From everything I've seen, he has a good jump shot. The fact of the matter is he doesn't shoot it.
Right. He needs that confidence to shoot it.
And I don't think it's a Ben Simmons type thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think he'll get there. he'll get there a lot sooner than Ben Simmons will. And he doesn't even need to shoot as many as a Ben Simmons should. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
I think, I don't know. I think he's a keeper for real.
Without a doubt, I think he's definitely a keeper. The thing is, look, his contract. He made 1.5 million this year. Makes 1.6 million next year, and then in 2021/22, there's a team option for 1.8. All right, so the Knicks got him on a very, very team-friendly contract until 2022. When we start looking at and talking about extensions and all that kind of stuff, we still got 2 years till we get to that point. I guess, at some point they could decide maybe at the end of next season, they could renegotiate with his agent and decide on something. But if he's not playing up the par, they can always say, listen, we're going to exercise our option at 1.8 million and see what he does. So there's time for him to develop.
Let me say this, Sim. If his production stays the same for the next two seasons, or each season, I say they keep picking up the option regardless. If he improves at all, when you offer that extension, it doesn't kick in until the next year. For instance, if they pick up the extension, this summer there's an option, or next summer there's an option?
There's an option the summer of 2021.
So if they pick up the option next summer and then give him an extension, it doesn't kick in until the following
season. Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, until the following season.
So it doesn't. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and the extension is always more beneficial for the team than it is the player. The player not taking an extension is able to get more money at the end of that season.
Right.
So the smart thing is always for the team to do an extension, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And so the Knicks are in a good spot with Mitchell Robinson. They're in a good spot with him, man. I don't think Mitchell Robinson's going anywhere. I think he's going to continue to develop and get better and better and better. I don't think we have to worry about Mitchell Robinson going anywhere. And with Leon Rose here, Mitch Robinson's agent is now, what's his name? They seem to have Mr. Richie Rich over there. LeBron James' buddy.
Yeah.
They seem to have a good relationship. I think they'll shoot each other fair, and they'll be fine. I think we'll be fine with Mitchell Robinson.
I hope so, man. I agree. I think him and RJ right now, nobody should be talking about trading, letting them go, or anything like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Hey Tony, I appreciate.
Sim, I'm gonna shoot you a text. I got an idea for a video.
Okay.
Just hit me back whenever you get a chance.
I bet.
All right. Shout out to the chat. Real Black is time.
Yeah. Give me a call, ladies and gentlemen. 516-445-2246. We got another caller. Let's see what's going on. Call you on live with nothing but Knicks. What's popping? Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy?
I'm good.
I'm gonna be quick. All right. Two things I want to touch in. You just spoke about Mike Woodson.
Yeah.
My thing is, we know what Woodson can bring to the table. If I'm gonna bring a guy like Jeff Van Gundy or Tom Thibodeau, I'm gonna bring Mike Woodson back as an assistant coach. But instead of bringing Woodson back, I would rather give Mike Miller a 1-year trial to see what he can do, like, with a full deck, with a full roster. Give him some other pieces, get him, like, a good point guard, and see what he can get, like, he can bring to the table. Now, that's one thing. Second thing is the Mitchell Robinson thing. Like, listen, tell Mark, please, stop being cheap. It's time for the Knicks to start playing. No, I'm serious. Please, man, I love the show. And believe me, Mark is like, one of my favorite guys on the panel, though. I like him. I love him. But please tell him stop being cheap. We have to, we need to pay people. And mostly, like, all players. Like, if we draft a guy and the guy can play, that kid has the potential, like, to become a superstar in this league. And I just watched, like, a video of him, like, shooting threes. Like, his handle is crazy. Now, what he can do it, like, in game time, it's a different story. But if you keep working on it, his shot look good, like crazy. So please tell Mark to stop being cheap. That kid, if we give up on him, we're gonna regret him. Just like right now, we're biting our thumbs, like, about Kristaps Porzingis. That kid is a one-time generational player. They don't come often. He fall on our lap, like, in that draft. Okay, we were lucky to get him. We have to baby that kid. He's one of the two pieces that we have in the team right now, and whoever else we're gonna bring has to be, like, added to that. We cannot trade that kid for nobody, unless if we're getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, fine. If we're getting a player like Luka Doncic, fine. You see the kind of guys that I'm naming? Mm-hmm. Those are, like, difference makers.
Right.
Mitchell Robinson is a difference maker. The league actually is, they kind of fear, like, of his presence, like, when he's on the court. That tells you something about what you have. So we're not paying him right now. Okay, that's fine. But when comes the time, like, to give him, like, his money, we cannot be cheap. We cannot think like Mark is thinking right now. We have to pay the kid. He's worth it.
I feel you got to pay him. You got to give him his money. You give him what he's worth. You give him what he's worth, but you got to give him his money. That's the only way that you're gonna. It's the only way you're gonna, be able to build a team.
Definitely. And right now, I like what Leon Rose is doing. Like, he's bringing guys that can help him, like, guide the boat, guide the ship. Like, he kept, like, Scott Perry, that shows you, like, okay, we're not the old Knicks that, people were, like, laughing at. Like, I think he get the memo. Like, he want to create, like, some sort of stability by keeping, like, Scott Perry.
Yeah. And exactly, by keeping out Scott Perry, that was, kept, because there's going to be a number of players that come back, regardless of people want. There's going to be a number of players that come back. It keeps that stability. And, Scott Perry seems to be a level-headed guy that should fit in with the group that, I don't know, I can't pretend like I know a whole lot about the guys that he brought in, but they seem to be guys that have come from stable, consistent organizations. And although Scott Perry hasn't come from that, he was with Orlando and Sacramento, he seems to be a level-headed guy that can work with just about everybody. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And among those guys that he brought in, like, honestly speaking, I would keep, like, Elfrid Payton. I would keep him as a backup. Mm-hmm. I would definitely find a way, like, to trade, like, Dennis Smith Jr. the Julius Randles and the Bobby Portises and all that crew, because we can bring some other pieces. If we can get our hand on a kid like that kid from Detroit, that would be an upgrade to Randall, basically. And again, that I have to go back to Robinson. I keep following this kid during the quarantine time. His game has improved a lot. That kid is shooting threes he's been doing that shit for years, nailing them.
He does that in practice and everything. He's got to do it in the game. He's got to have the confidence to do it in the game.
Yeah, but I don't think he was ever give the permission to shoot threes, because in one of his interviews, he said that why practicing something that you're not going to be using. So I think someone in the organization had told him not to shoot threes. Keep your game simple, play down down the hill and do what you're best at.
Well, yeah, we'll see how he develops. I know. Listen, I know Mike Miller. I know, Mike Miller went to New Orleans and worked out with him and stuff like that. I find it hard that Mike Miller would say, don't shoot. And maybe he's not going to shoot threes, but, even the mid-range, But hey, my man, I appreciate the call. We got
Thank you, Sam.
A few other people, man.
Talk to Mark.
All right, I'm going to talk to him. Let him know it's not coming out of his pocket. It's not coming out of his pocket.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Later. And I want to see D Grant in the chat. You said, remember Woodson had coached a veteran team. This Knicks team consists of young guys. He's not a developmental coach. But see, I'm not sure I'm convinced at that, D Grant. Because like I said, and I'm going to read it off one more time. When he was with Atlanta, he took over a young team that needed to develop. And every year they got better. Every year they got better. They went from a 13-win team to a 53-win team under Mike Woodson. Get that. A 13-win team to a 53-win team, 53-game win team, whatever, however you say it. Under Mike Woodson. I mean, he took a young team with a young Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson got there the year after Mike Woodson did. And they built a squad. That squad didn't do anything in the playoffs, but he built the squad. I don't know if we can say that he can't play with young players, and teach and develop young players. I'm not sure of that. I do want to, Bravo, thank you for the super chat. You said, how much should the Knicks pay to get Christian Wood? I'm going to say this about Christian Wood. We talked about this in another show a couple weeks ago. I'm not hating on the kid. I think he's a good player. Let's just not go head over heels for him just yet. All right. He's had a couple of good seasons, 1 or 2 good seasons in the NBA. He's jumped around from team to team. He's 24, 25 years old. I don't want to go head over heels for the kid. Let's be level-headed about him and give him a fair contract. I don't mind having him on the team. I just want to give him a fair contract. I don't want to go head over heels thinking that this kid is the next whoever or whatever. You know what I mean? Because we still don't know exactly what he will be. A lot of people going and chomping at the bits for Christian Wood, because he played a really good game against the Knicks and all that stuff. But when you do go back and look at him, and let me see, last year he averaged 13 points and 6 rebounds. Shot 56% from the field. He shot 38% from 3. Very, very good numbers. Very good numbers, right? And listen, I understand it takes players sometimes a little bit of time to get comfortable in the NBA and let their game come to them and all of that kind of stuff. But he's really only had 2 decent seasons in the NBA. Now, he hasn't had a lot of playing time. He went from Philadelphia to, who was that? Charlotte, Milwaukee, the Pelicans. So he's been on 4 different teams already in the NBA. I'm sorry, 5 different teams in the NBA. The only team he really got any playing time on is with the Pistons. with the Pistons, he averaged 21.4 minutes per game. So hopefully that is truly a breakout season. He played 8 games with the New Orleans Pelicans where he played 23 minutes and he averaged 16.9 points. That was in 2018, 2019. Look, all I'm saying is let's not go head over heels. Give him something that's fair. Give him the type of deal where the team can get out of it and he can get out of it. A fair amount of money, maybe a 1-and-1. Something like that, so you can see, does he continue to, continue on that upswing? I just don't want to get too crazy. I just don't want to go too crazy. We have a tendency to do that. Let me get to this caller, then I'm going to talk about one of these draft prospects and talk to some guys here in the chat. Caller, you on live, man. What's popping?
Yo, what's up, Sim?
What's going on with you, bro?
Nothing much, man.
All right, give me some last words and last thoughts about Mike Woodson, and then I want to go on to one of these draft prospects and get your thoughts on that.
Okay. Well, last words on Mike Woodson. I like Mike Woodson. I think the fact that they got rid of, Phil got rid of him was a raw deal because the man he just knew how to coach. I think you should have given him a chance, but I don't think we bring him in. I think we give Mike Miller the job regardless. I just don't think we should try to change anything because we're getting rid of Julius Randle, and if Leon Rose misses on a big hit, it'll kill him, and then we got to do this all over again. I think he should just be patient. But if we get Chris Paul, I bring in Woods, at least as an assistant coach.
Chris Paul. Let me see. Chris Paul was on the Clippers when Mike Woodson was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bring him in because, you saw how he worked when he had Jason Kidd that one year. He went all the way. When I think it was Jeff Teague down in Atlanta, when he was on his All-Star, he had that one year he went to the All-Star. That was with Atlanta. And he balled out of control. And then he brought up Dennis Schroeder. So, yeah, we get Chris Paul, bring him in. He's a solid coach. He knows what Chris Paul's going to do, and he's going to let Chris Paul run that team. And it's going to be, it'll work. That's if we get Chris Paul, though.
Yeah. Listen, the whole thing with Chris Paul, if the salary cap drops and OKC, if the salary cap drops and teams are able to get a one-time, waiver of players, OKC will probably waive Chris Paul, and then Chris Paul will be going to the Lakers or something like that. So that would not work out for the Knicks. The only way that the Knicks are getting Chris Paul is if they trade.
Yeah, but I haven't heard about that. I've been reading. I haven't heard about that amnesty thing. Maybe I missed it.
Well, that's something that the teams are asking for. If the salary cap does drop, they're asking, hey, let us get a one-time waiver, to help us. Some teams some teams, their salary cap is to the walls. You know what I'm saying? They have the cupboards are full, and they've spent $110 million, or they're over the salary cap. And they're over the luxury tax, and they're paying luxury tax. So they'd be looking for an amnesty. And they've had discussions about it. At least the teams have had a discussion about it.
I just don't like it because it's gonna give better teams an advantage. Could you imagine the Nets with an amnesty? They could just get rid of whoever is big salary. The Lakers with an amnesty.
That'll happen. It'll make some teams. It'll make some. The better teams probably get better because someone like Chris Paul will get amnestied and then sign a veterans minimum deal with the Lakers.
Yeah. I don't think they could do it for just the continuity. It'd be gross. You'd see like 2010 All-Star team
Yeah. So, well, listen, stay on the line. I want to get your not your idea, but your thoughts on Patrick Williams, and then I'm gonna come over here to the guys that's in the video chat. Patrick Williams, ladies and gentlemen, he is a freshman. He's a small forward. He's 6'8". Played for Florida State this year. Right, he's 19 years old. It's a guy that's got some raw talent. He averaged 9.2 points this season, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1.7 turnovers. He shot 45.9% from the field. He shot 32% from 3. He shot 83.8% from the free throw line. All right, he's a long and lanky type of guy. He's a potential two-way player. He's an okay defender. He's probably going to have to get a lot better. He's got a good body. Right, good size, good body for the NBA. He's got good length and athleticism. He's got good shooting fundamentals. He is a shot blocker, right? He averaged one block shot per game this season, and it's not like he was getting, his minutes were, maybe a little bit on the lower end for a guy that's going in the draft. He can get quiet during the game. The kind of guy that can, you say, well, I'm letting the game come to me, but he kind of gets lost out there on the offensive side. He needs to develop his creativity and his finishing, to finish at the basket, develop that a little bit. But he's a freshman. He's 19. He's still young. And he settles for shots. Even on a break, he'll settle for a pull-up. But these are all learning. You got to learn. You got to learn. All things that he can fix. He's someone that if the Knicks were to pick him up, maybe he goes somewhere between 15 and 20. So I don't know if the Knicks are going to be in that range or not. It is possible. What do you think about this guy?
I don't know. Not at 15 or 20. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I think there's going to be a lot of good players at even at our 38 pick if we keep it. I don't know. I just think there's going to be better players at all 3 of our drafts.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, there might be. He's probably going to be a project type of guy that's going to need a couple years before you see his full potential in the league and what he really can do in the league.
Yeah, no. Even just that. I mean, we just had Frank and we got Kevin.
Eh?
I mean, we got we got Kevin Knox. I'd rather, I'm going to stick with Kevin Knox before I bring in another Kevin Knox.
Dude, I don't know if he's another Kevin Knox because I think looking at this guy's body type and size, he's going to be a 3. Kevin Knox, I think, is going to end up being a 4. So I don't think that they're going to be the same guy. They may do some of the similar things on the floor, but I think they're going to be different guys eventually. You know what I mean? Especially Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox is going to be a 4, in my opinion. When I look at his body and as he continues to grow and gets bigger and he fills out, I think he's going to fill out to be a 4, without a doubt.
Yeah, but then we have Iggy.
I mean, Iggy's.
If you don't have Kevin Knox, you've got Iggy. And
yeah, we'll see what. And we still got to see what Iggy's going to be able to do in the NBA if he gets a chance to play in the NBA. But Iggy's what, 6'7", 6'8"? What is he going to be a 4? I don't know. He might be stuck at that 3 spot. The thing about Iggy, can he defend those threes? So
I just think I think what we do with that first pick is going to depend on what we do at the draft.
Oh, of course.
And we end up with LaMelo, or if we trade down, grab Kira Lewis at like 12, and pick up another a later draft pick, or another second rounder. Maybe I take a flyer, maybe with the whatever pick we pick up, and for that 27. But I mean, there's a bunch of guys that I just reading all the stuff. I mean, that kid out of Gonzaga, Killian Tilly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if he's at the 38.
Listen, I mean, listen. There's
to.
definitely a bunch of guys down there, so you know we're just looking at everybody.
Yeah, no, he's a. I mean, I don't know much about him, but he doesn't. You know, his numbers don't pop off the charts like a lot of other players. I mean,
no, that's true. That's true. Numbers may not pop off the chart, but that doesn't always mean anything about the numbers. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes it takes a guy like this next guy that I'm going to pull up. This kid is a kid. When I say he is a kid, you know, he's small, very small, right? He's another small forward, power forward type of player, stretch forward type of player. I had small forward up there. He's probably more of a stretch four. His name is Jaden McDaniels. Played for Washington. He was one of the top recruits coming out of high school a year ago. And he's 19 years old. What'd you say?
This kid can ball.
He can hoop. This kid can ball. He averaged 13 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists. Just under 1 steal a game, you know, turned the ball over a little bit, 3.2 turnovers per game. He shot 40.5% from the field, 33.9% from three. He shot 76% from the free throw line. Look, 6'9", 200 pounds. He's skinny kid, man, skinny young kid. He's even standing on the picture like a young kid. But he's got potential, man. He's got a lot of raw talent. You know, he's a versatile forward. He's agile, mobile. He's fluid. You know, he's got good shot fundamentals. You know, he's a guy that can be a potential shooter. He can potentially come off screens. He's going to have to work a lot on his game. You know, I have raw talent under weaknesses only because that means he's not developed. So he's got some developing to go. He's got to develop offensively, learn to play in the half court. You know, he's another guy that will settle for pull-ups. You know, and I should have put another L on that will, my bad. And he's got to get stronger to play in the NBA. But Jaden McDaniels, man, he could be a guy down in that draft, you know, down in that range, you know, that surprises some people because he's got some game to him.
Oh yeah, no, this kid's at 27, and we picked up a point guard. Yeah, get him, and then go get the best available center at the 38. You know, this kid was like the best player on earth 8 months ago, like one of the top 5 high school recruits in the land.
Yeah.
8 months ago.
Yeah. He
played for Washington. Washington's not good.
Yeah, he was one of the top recruits coming out of high school, man. He's a guy that could shock some people, I think.
Yeah,
after a couple of years, it'll take a couple years, you know. But
yeah, but look at Portland with Anthony Simmons. That kid can ball, and he's what 19 in his second year. I mean, those are the type of players you flyer on because they're just young. But you stash him in the G League for a year. You let him get big,
right?
And then you let him come out.
Yeah, and he is. You know, I see
what we should have done with Trier. I think it's the worst thing we did with Trier was leave him on the bench.
I mean, you know, of course, the difference between Trier and this guy is that, you know, Trier is already, you know, he came into the league 24, 25 years old, 23, 24 years old. So he's a little bit older.
He was 22.
This was his second year. Okay, 22. I mean, but still, he came in a little bit older. You know, this guy is very, very young and very, very raw.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's why I would grab him and stash him for a year in the G League because you're just letting him develop, letting him get big. You know, eat right, train right, get around the professional environment, and then like. If we'd have done that with Trier, I think Trier would be a lot better. I think Trier would have gone down to the G League and set that thing on fire.
Oh, he would have killed it.
He's balling with pros and getting respect. He goes down to the G League. He's a shark down there.
Yeah, he would have killed it down in the G League. There's no doubt about that.
I think that would have helped his confidence. I mean, you'd have put Trier down in the G League for the first half of the year. And then if the, no coronavirus, we bring him up, all-star break.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Trier lacks for confidence. For whatever reason, the Knicks haven't played him, but I don't think that he lacks for confidence at all. I think he knows he can hoop.
Yeah, you got to play. He does. He knows he can hoop.
I think he knows he can hoop, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Alonzo Trier in the coming, in the coming months and everything. But hey, my man, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna get to the guys that's here in the YouTube chat and see what they think about Jaden McDaniels.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
No doubt. Appreciate it, brother. All right. I'm gonna get back to the phone calls in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit more about this kid, Jaden McDaniels. Guys that's in the chat, I'm coming to you. Andrew, since you're already up, Andrew, I'm coming to you, man. I want to get your thoughts on Jaden McDaniels. And let me get you unmuted before you start to talk, because I don't have you unmuted yet. But I'm getting you unmuted. Jaden McDaniels, man, what do you think about that guy late in the draft?
Yeah, I looked at his highlights and yeah, I mean he's cool. I mean if he was available, I mean it depends what we need him. I've seen that he can block shots. He has length. He doesn't necessarily have too much size, but I'm not too worried about that. He probably put on some size. But I mean, it depends if they want to go that direction. I haven't watched too much of him, but I've seen that he can shoot the ball. He has a long wingspan. He just doesn't have necessarily like the girth on him. You know what I'm saying? In certain terms of the thickness. Maybe they didn't get him in the weight room, but we get him late in the draft and he got to stretch the floor. It's cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, you get him late in the draft. I think he's a young guy. He's a young kid. He was one of the top recruits coming out of high school. You know what I mean? The kid, he was like a top 5 recruit coming out of high school. Similar to Mitchell Robinson, when Mitchell Robinson was the number 2 center, coming out of high school, going into college, he was like the number 2 center. Unfortunately, things didn't work out in college for him. But the talent, the talent was there. Same thing with this kid. He's got a lot of talent. He's just he's so small. He's got to put on some pounds, got to eat some hamburger or something. I seen somebody. I seen somebody said that you need to put him, make him eat straight pasta for 48 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's a guy that you take a flyer on in late rounds, man. If he's there, that you could take a flyer on, I think.
Yeah, I was watching it. Defensively, he looked cool. You know what I mean? He's very lanky, so you know what I'm saying. If he could shoot the ball and he's not ball dominant, he could shoot the 3 at a high clip and he could play defense. I wouldn't mind getting him. I wouldn't mind it at all. Put him late in the draft. It depends what we fall with the first pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we was end up getting like either LaMelo or Anthony Edwards, then I think it would be better for us to move, maybe get a big or something, because then we're gonna be too cluttered at the wing positions. Like if we supposedly get Edwards, we still got RJ, we're gonna have Frank, we're gonna have Knox. You know what I'm saying? If we keep Trier, or I don't know if we're gonna do that, we bring back Dotson. Do you draft him? It depends on what we get, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or it depends if they want to package that and move up. You know what I mean? I'm not quite sure what the Knicks are gonna do.
Yeah. I can't wait until we find out where we're gonna draft, because then we can really start to pin some things down and really talk about what we would do with that draft pick. Right now, we're kind of like, just looking at players because we don't know where we're going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Guillermo, if you can hear me, I'm going to come to you next because I want to get your opinion on Mike Woodson. So hopefully, I know you're having a conversation now, but I'm going to come to you next. I can't wait until we find out where we draft. And I don't know when it's going to be. We were supposed to find this out if the season was going on the way that it's supposed to. Normally, we would have found out on the 19th where we would have been drafting.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's a little bit of that's the thing, that's what is going to have us at the edge of our seats, because we're still not sure. Hopefully, man, we because last season, we was hoping we got the number 1 pick. Hopefully this season, if we could get a top 3 this year, I think that's still good because you still got LaMelo, you got Justin Winslow, you got Anthony Edwards. So, any one of those guys will be fine. You know what I mean? If we could get one of those 3, hopefully. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what's up. So I'm gonna come to Guillermo. Hopefully Guillermo's, ready. I see he's having a conversation with Mark.
For you.
Hey, Guillermo, you hear me?
I hear you. I'm waiting for you to call.
Okay. All right. I had you muted, so I seen your mouth moving. I didn't know if you was talking to Mark or if you was talking to me. All right. So Jaden McDaniels. We'll start with Jaden McDaniels. You know anything about the kid? What you think?
Yes. I watched games on him, yo. He has the potential to be my son, yo, but he has. It's tough because one thing I like that he does is that he picks his spots on the floor, right? He likes to dribble, and he likes to, if he's dribbling from up top, he likes to dribble to the foul line or to the elbow and hit that jumper. He's like a bootleg KD in that regard, right? He can make cuts on the baseline. He can be an active player, right? But he is a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I wish, and I understand people got to get their money. I have no issue with that aspect of, what you got to do. But I just wish he could spend another year or maybe spend another year in maybe a different program because he shot like 34% from three, which is pretty bad. He shot 34. He shot 40% from the field. Not good. So that means that he's really low. 76% from the 3-point line, the free throw line. Only 5.8 assists. I know he's 6'9", but and only 13 points. One of his issues is that they don't have his motor. The other two said he's Kevin Knox. No. I think this guy's a motor issue. There's not necessarily an awareness issue. This big issue. He doesn't have an awareness issue, right? But his motor could go run hot and cold. And for as talented as he is, you don't want a guy who's probably going to, when you look at his game, he's a guy that you're going to want a small ball, your big man will take the ball, and you gain offense. He can find a shot. That's one thing I like about him. When he drives to the basket, you guys brought up a great point. He's 6'9", he's only 200 pounds, which is terrible in terms of strength. And I've watched a bunch of highlights of him where, driving to the basket, it's not even though he's skinny, it's not a reformed drive to the basket where, he could draw the contact, but maybe wrap his arm around, or he breaks the contact and finds a refined way to finish the basket. A lot of times he'll just throw himself up, hit against a guy and just throw it up. But because he's lanky, he's just right there, or, he's so close to basket, it's like he can just find a shot. So when he goes to bat, it looks like if he doesn't get bigger and stronger, he's gonna have issues in the NBA where, just jumping up to the basket, just throwing the ball up is not going to work. You have to be a little bit more refined going to the basket once you're in contact. And that's one thing that kind of scared me about. But this is do that. If he goes to the right team where he gets a coach that can really work on being able to hit that 3-point shot, refining a shot so where he can hit it off ball, where he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he can hit those shots. Plus he's in an office where maybe they play a smaller lineup. Maybe one of these like a Portland Trailblazer team where maybe they traded Hassan Whiteside and have him operate and play with McCollum and Damon Lillard, where they can play more off ball and be more dangerous up there. I could see him flourishing in those type of offenses, but he's a big boomer bust guy. And the big thing that scares me is motor. One thing that it's like the opposite. He's probably not as talented technically as some of these other players, but that motor is always going to push him to get better, right? And with a guy like Jaden McDaniels, look, if you look at his stats, they're not eye-popping whatsoever. But I was looking at mock drafts him. They have this kid going anywhere from 10 to 20. I've seen a lot of guys put him at 14, 15. Right, he's talented, Mark. But there are a lot of guys who've been talented, and it's like, all right, he has a talent, but the motor's missing, or the mindset is missing. I'm not saying he has a mindset, but his motor is an issue where certain things, right? Even if he was average on defense, he can be, I don't say like a daisy, but he could be hot or cold, right? And that's the thing. I'm looking at this kid as like, it's tough. When you watch certain kids like that, sometimes the demeanor says, oh, what drives him and what pushes him to be better? Because he's not going to come in and give you 20, 25 points just off the strength of his talent. He's going to have to dig deep himself and refine his shooting, refine his driving to the basket, and refine his defense. being that top player. People drew comparisons and said he's similar to Brandon Ingram. And look at Brandon Ingram, right? Brandon Ingram was not in an ideal situation when LeBron was there for the Lakers, right? He had to go to the Pelicans, where he's actually a good GM and a coach that actually more so develop his skills. And he was looking like, a dark horse for the MVP. He probably was going to win it, but he was looking like that type of player. Like we were talking about, hey, Brandon Ingram. But this is the same Brandon Ingram. I remember last year and the year before, people were talking about this guy's a bust. So it depends. It depends on how you want to develop yourself. And it depends on if we have the proper coach to develop him. Now, you get a guy like Atkinson, have him play more out on the perimeter and just waiting for the ball, which may not be best suited for him. Thibodeau, I'm not necessarily sure. And you talking about Mike Woodson. It's a transition to Mike Woodson. I know you want to ask me about Mike Woodson. I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Woodson. This is Mike Woodson to me. We were talking about this, me, Drew, Justin, and Mark. You know what I mean? And I think Mike Woodson does really well with teams that have a good deal of talent. But my personal opinion, what I've seen what he do with Joe Johnson, despite the fact he had a bunch of players like Al Horford, he had guys like Josh Smith, he had Marvin Williams. He had talent on those teams. Same thing with Melo, right? J.R. Smith. He did make J.R. Smith six-man a year or whatever he was that year. He improved in the second half, but he falls into the trap of going too ISO with the star player he has. And that's the thing with Mike Woodson. That's why I like Atkinson, because I'd rather have a guy where he gives you a system and he can make really good players off that system versus a guy who has a bunch of talent and he can probably possibly make one guy really good, but the team as a whole they're going to plateau at a certain point. So,
I mean, well, that's what happened with Atlanta. That's what happened with Atlanta, right? They plateaued I guess they plateaued at a certain point. He took them from 13 wins to 53 wins. You can assume that they plateaued, or at least they thought that they were going to plateau because they let him go after that 53-win season in 2009, 2010. They let Coach Mike Woodson go. I think maybe the next season, did they go on to win 60 games? And then after that, they were done, right? No, they won 44 games. Larry Drew took over. They won 44 games in 2010, 2011. Then 40 games in 2011, 2012. So then, they still just kind of muddled there in the middle. I mean, Mike Woodson took, Mike Woodson, he took that team from nothing to something.
He did.
You could say that.
I give him a crap load of credit because we were talking about this in the chat, and Mark was saying, and I agree with him. That team, they weren't doing nothing. But again, and it's tough because it sounds crazy what I'm saying, right? As much talent as he had, it's again, you can almost argue that he may have plateaued. Now, they did play the Boston Celtics in the first round in 2008, and they lost. They lost Game 7, right? But again, if that team was talented, they had a lot of talent, and Mark made the point, and I'm not trying to steal from him, he did make this point that Al Horford started to come on after Joe Johnson left the team, which is it's not necessarily a good thing because Al Horford and Joe Johnson obviously don't play the same position, but I'd be hard pressed to think that there could have been a coach that could have gotten those guys to play effectively at a high level on the same team. And that goes to show that maybe Mike Woodson, as much as he helped develop that team, he may have underachieved. You can argue with that team in terms of the talent and where he brought him. So I'm not shit on him. I don't think that he's the right guy.
I guess it's hard to say if he underachieved. The only thing that I would say about that, and I have to look at the roster too to see if they lost players. Let me see. Like I said, in 2009, 2010, they were 53-29. The next season, they were 44-38 under Larry Drew. And maybe Larry Drew just wasn't the guy. They pretty much had the same roster. And, from there, they just continued to.
Josh Smith never learned how to shoot. They had plays where that Hawks team, I remember that team was like, this is the next big team in the East. Josh Smith was supposed to learn how to shoot. Joe Johnson was supposed to become an MVP. Al Horford came from the winning victory. Marvin Williams, who I think, obviously if you draft Chris Paul, that's a different thing. And maybe Mike Woodson had a hand in not drafting Chris Paul, because you draft Chris Paul to that team. That is that's South Eastern Conference final team right there. So I'm just saying, Mike Woodson's just not we already have him. I'm not a fan of bringing on retreads, especially if they haven't won at like an extremely high level, right? I mean, he had that 1 year with the Knicks, but it's not like we didn't even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So to me, give me a developmental coach that's going to give the discipline. No one can change my mind off Atkinson. I like what Atkinson represents, and he was here with the Knicks as assistant coach. But what he did with that Nets team, I'm still so impressed by the fact that he took a team that really, if it wasn't for Kyrie coming on or whatever, that's a team that, you keep them together, they're possibly getting past to the next round. You add a few more shooters, maybe a few more big men off the bench, another point guard to another really good point guard behind D'Angelo Russell. The high pick and roll, pass out to the perimeter guys, that would have fit so perfect for guys like Mitch and even other point guards that aren't the fast, aren't the quickest, like Frank, whatnot. I'm sticking with Atkinson. Woodson, as much as I like him, he needs a lot of talent on the team, and he plateaus. I thought the discipline at times of that Knicks team was off. Remember, J.R. Smith was going to the club during the playoffs and still being a head case, even though he did improve in the second half. You know what I mean? But and you can argue no one can control J.R. Smith. That's an issue. But, I just feel for that Knicks team. I look at that team, and I think that team did – it was a confluence of factors that made them really good. I don't think Mike Woodson was this great coach that oh, man, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time.
The reason why I brought up Mike Woodson is because I thought he did a very good job, taking guys and being able to I don't know how I want to explain it. I don't want to say maximizing all of their talents, but one of those guys that was good with dealing with personalities.
Are you sure about that? Well, but also
I think so.
He had Jason Kidd on the team. He had generals on the team that was going to help do his bidding anyway.
I mean, but that was part of him bringing in those generals. Like, he was like, look, these are the kind of guys I want to bring in. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what I need. People can always talk about, the coaches have to be able to do this, but you got to have generals on the team to keep you got to have some guys that's going to keep the troops there, because it's only so much that the coach can say or do. Look,
that's why I like Atkinson, because remember you talking about that, and guys like Joe Harris, they kind of threw him under the bus once Kyrie came, because they're just trying to sell it to Kyrie. Because I didn't hear any of this the year before, but like you said, this guy was involved in people's off-season workouts and stuff like that. And you got look, sometimes you get a little bit too involved, but that's the thing that Atkinson can learn from. Maybe he gets those generals to come in and build and help relay a message, so it's not just him seeming like he's screaming at players or being a disciplinarian. But with Mike Woodson, it's just like, I rather take a coach where I've seen a former, right? Because again, we don't know if Jason Kidd's going to come here and do, what Jason Kidd did in the first year. We don't know. I mean, we were fortuitous to get that. But we don't look at his free agent landscape. We're not sure we're going to get that. So I'd rather just take a coach who, and we don't even have the talent. I mean, even that Knicks team had more talent than the Knicks team that we have now. So I don't see Mike Woodson as a developmental coach, man.
So I mean, just the last thing with that, then how did he do it in Atlanta? Because those guys were young. Joe Johnson was young when he went there. They were all young. They went from 13 wins to 53. There had to be some kind of development going on, because they didn't start off with talent.
Okay, but again, big difference, right? They still had talent. Now, unnecessary. So yes, talent can underachieve, right? Look at the Clippers when they had Quentin Richardson, Darius Miles, Corey Maggette, all those players. Those guys, I don't think they ever sniffed 40 wins, right? But that was an uber talented team. So I think sometimes, like, does he have a good eye for talent? He probably does. In regards to, all right, I have a team of players. I just got to put certain people here and there at, whatever. I got to accentuate this guy's skill a little bit more, blah, blah. He can probably do that, right? But again, when I'm looking at this Knicks team, outside of RJ, Mitch, Trier, I can't really look at any of the players and say, and project them to be high-level players, skill players for their positions. Right?
So listen.
Guys like are decent, and I just look at it. I'm like, this is not a really talented team, because those Hawks team, Sim, Horford, Joe Johnson, what's his boy's name, Josh Smith.
Right, but they didn't have those guys from the beginning.
No, right.
You know what I'm saying? They started off. They started off with terrible teams. Like his first year.
Who they had the first year? Josh Smith and Joe Johnson, at least.
The first year they had Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson was still in the league at this. And they had Kenny Anderson, John Barry, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah, Kenny Anderson, John Barry. They had Josh Childress, Jason Collier, Tony Delk, Boris Diaw. Then they had some guys from another country. I can't even pronounce their names. Tom Gugliotta, Al Harrington.
That team didn't go to the playoffs, though, Sim.
Huh?
That team didn't go to the playoffs, though, right?
No, that team was 13. They had 13 wins.
Right. So the next year when they got Joe Johnson came on 04-05.
Then Joe Johnson came the next year. Joe Johnson came in 05-06. They won 26 games.
Okay. And then when did Josh Smith come?
All right. Josh Smith was actually there that first year.
That first year, okay. Talent.
Yeah, he was a rookie. He was a rookie that first year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then you had, so then you had Joe Johnson and Josh Smith. Then you had a bunch of guys. You had Tyrone Lue, Royal Ivory, Al Harrington, Anthony Grundy, John Edwards, Tony Delk. They had Marvin Williams was a rookie that year.
Right.
And then the next season, 05-06, they won 30 games. Pretty much the same main players. They picked up a couple of people, but they had pretty much the same main players on the team.
So hold up. So that goes to my point. He starts to do well, and this is not to say he's even a bad coach for this. I think he's still a decent coach, but they start to do better as they got more talent.
But that's what I'm saying. But isn't that what the Knicks would be doing? I mean, any coach that comes,
you're betting now. It could. Obviously, a lot of teams are doing this, but you're still betting with him that we're going to draft the right guy and they're going to fit to what Mike Woodson want to do versus what I think with Atkinson, where he's going to give you a game plan where at the very least the Knicks are going to perform at this level. There's going to be you don't have to worry about Bruce Randle doing the whole bull in a china shop thing, where it's like, all right, people got to be in a certain place on the floor, spacing, which is really important. Everybody loves Budenholzer, and that's one of his main things is to have space on the floor. You're gonna have a spacing, you have spacing in a system where guys can follow, and there's not guys running with their heads cut off. And it's like, all right, guys, some guys who already fit that system are going to perform at a high level, so you might get more wins. You might reach up to 20-some, 30-some wins just off of that. Then next year you can retool and get the draft guys that fit your system, and also get the free agents that fit your system, which I think is a more sound blueprint versus, all right, you draft a guy and then you need the talent for him to develop versus what Atkinson would do. You might make some of these guys that we think don't have that much talent. Dotson might come in and be the next Joe Harris in an Atkinson system. And we'll be like, whoa, Dotson was this good?
Good. Well, I mean, you're probably right because Kenny Atkinson is my guy too. He's the guy that I want to coach this team as well. So I'm with you 100%. Just I don't know if they would look Mike Woodson's way or not. But he does have a track record of putting together some decent teams. They just didn't get over the top. I guess he just didn't have what it took to get those guys over the top. And maybe it's because he didn't have a strong enough offensive system. Who knows what it is. But, he wasn't able to. Hey, he's been an assistant more years. He's been in the NBA 21 years. He's been an assistant 12 of them and a head coach 9 of them. So maybe he's relegated to be an assistant coach in the NBA,
Yeah.
Well, see, man, I can't wait until, this whole thing can shuffle out. We can find out who the coach is going to be, find out our draft position, and really start to dig our teeth into something, man.
I don't. Have you heard anything from any rumors? I checked Bleacher Report every stupid.
No, the only thing that I've heard is that they're talking about having a 70-game season. Where with the Knicks, their season they've played 66 games already. I don't understand why they would come back for 4 games. But the only reason why they would come back for 4 games is money purposes, right? So, so that the NBA could fulfill their contracts, their TV contracts. That's the only thing that I could see why the Knicks would come back for 4 games. It's just, it would be worthless though. 4 games for what? You got to have all these guys. Right now, all these guys are home with their families, right? You got to have everyone come back, play 4 games, and then go back home. do exit interviews, and go back home. It don't make no sense.
And imagine these guys might get a major injury, man, because, again, if you're not in basketball shape, you know what I mean?
Hey, it doesn't make sense, man. I just can't see it. Let the guys that's in the playoffs, the teams that are in the playoffs, I think maybe it was Isaiah who said it earlier. Let those guys play a couple of games so that they can get warmed up, play the playoffs, and be on with it.
This is all for LeBron, like
over.
Mark said. I gotta agree with Mark 1,000% because this is all just to get LeBron that one chip. I think that he's in it because he's the only dude who's screaming. No, he's not the only dude, but he's one of the dudes screaming from the mountaintop. Oh, we gotta. It's like, dude. If you really want to take the easy route where guys are, there's certain guys, it doesn't matter if they're healed up from their previous injuries. If they haven't been getting that blood flowing, and they're going to be hurt. So he's probably hoping these dudes get hurt or aren't at their tip top. LeBron is doing his workouts and his steroid regimen. Joking. But, and he's probably ready to play. So I don't know. I feel even you guys been talking, we've been all talking. I just feel funny about it, man. Even I was for soccer and stuff. I just feel weird where it's like Mark said, some of these dudes, they have to go back home to, newborn babies and wives and stuff. And it's like, dude, I'd rather these guys be in the best place possible health-wise versus let's just do all this stuff so LeBron can get a cheap championship. So I feel weird about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let me get to Mark and take us out of here, man, because, I'm about to call the night. Mark, what's going on, man?
All right, I'm about to take us out with a bang. So let's get to the Jaden McDaniels.
Here we go.
Let's take it with the
First of all, my man, the first caller, my man said, Mark, you're not paying Mitchell Robinson with your money. He said, stop being cheap.
Well, listen.
I'm just trying to let you know what he said. He said, stop being cheap.
All right, so next time I'm in the chat, I got words for him. But listen, it's just something to think about. I just want y'all to think about it. Just think about it. Like, it's not that I wouldn't pay him if he became this player that everybody think he's going to become. That's different. But I'm just talking about the contract extension that he will be asking for. But I understand that the Knicks have rights and they have their ways of doing things. But I'm just saying he has to become a certain level of player, a consistent player, for me to talk about him getting $16 million. So that's just facts. But let me get to this Jaden McDaniels kid.
Yeah. Let's talk about him. I like him. Let's talk about him.
Listen, for people to say that that kid don't have no motor, you have to really go back and watch those 30 games he played, because there is nothing that he cannot do offensively on that floor from a young guy with that size. That's KD, right? Not saying he's KD, but the size, same thing with KD in Texas. KD probably came in, 205, 210?
Yeah.
You're talking about a 19-year-old. This is a 19-year-old kid. And it's like where the Knicks is at, we have to get an abundance of talent. And that kid, you throw him in the fire sim, like he had a problem playing on that team, because one thing he didn't like when the coach used to pull him out, the coach, I watch games, the coach used to pull him out when he will mess up, and I kind of like that. And then when he got pulled out and he comes back onto the bench, his game just changes. So he will make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes, cool. He learns from them. When I watch him, because there's another guy on that team that was on my drive board, the Isaiah Stewart kid, the power forward.
Yeah, we're going to look at him. We're going to look at him.
Oh, he's a dog. But this Jaden McDaniels, when you talk about a dude that you can run off screens, can play off the ball, he don't dominate the ball for a scorer. Not at all, son. He can shoot the three. Mm-hmm. He has dribbling ability to get to he gets to his spots. He gets for a 19-year-old thing. You watch him in college, he gets to his spots. Most kids don't have the knowledge to get to their spots. He gets to his spots for offensive player. And he's gonna go around 15, 20. After 20, listen, you'll be lucky to get him. Because this dude So
let me let me ask the question before you even say that. I don't know what you was about to say, but let me just ask the question. Does he have all-star potential?
Yes. I think no. Well, Because he kind of reminded me of Brandon Ingram, and a lot of people didn't think Brandon Ingram had all-star talent. It took a while for Brandon Ingram to really come into his own. His game kind of reminded me of Brandon Ingram a lot. Everything, if you watch Brandon Ingram do, and you watch, they play the same type of ball, but he don't dominate he don't dominate the ball like Ingram does. You could play Jaden McDaniels in the flow of the offense. Y'all really have to go back and watch him play. And the thing is, you have to accept that he's going to make mistakes. His shot selection, I think he's going to get better with time, just because he know how to get to his spots early. So it's when he gets his game refined, when he gets his weight up, the weight going to be a problem. But I guess when you get to the NBA, they're going to gain weight. They're going to, especially the ones that want to be great or want to be an NBA player, they're going to get to their weight or where they want to be. But if he goes later than 20 and he's on the board for us to get, it's to a point, Sin. It's to a point you might as well just trade Knox, honest to God, because this kid is super talented offensively. His motor is there. There's nothing about him where I worry about his motor. Not at all. Not at all. Because he has tips with coach when coaches will pull him out, and it's okay. He's young. He want to play. He really thinks of himself highly. And when you watch him play, Sin, that boy attacks the rim. You're going to foul him. You're going to foul him because he know how to finish around the cup. He might be weak, but he know how to finish. He's just one of those skinny guys that know how to finish around the basket. It don't matter if he's 90 pounds. He know how to finish around the. He's just skilled. He is purely skilled offensively. People just have a problem with his weight. Cool. That's okay. That's okay. But to take a whiff on him that late, because he is talented, man. He's super talented. He's super talented.
I know. I know.
And he's 6'9". He has the ability. He has the ability to stretch the floor. He has the ability to shoot the three, and then he can become a defender because that Husky team is a defending team. Is a defensive team. That team is known for playing defense.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that he don't. It's not that he don't lack it. You put him with a coach that preached that defensive thing. He's gonna play it. He's going to play because if he wants minutes, then he's going to have to sit on the floor. And that's the same thing with the Huskies. If you don't play hard, you won't play. That coach will pull you out.
Right.
That coach will pull you out.
No doubt about it. Let me get to Justin. I didn't get a chance to talk with Justin yet. I didn't get a chance to talk to him last night either. Justin, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, sir. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on with you, man? Your picture is frozen, but I can hear you, so that's all good. So tell me what you think, man. We talked about Mike Woodson. We talked about Patrick Williams. We talked about Jaden McDaniels. Tell me what you think, man.
Mike Woodson, let's stop talking about that. We that's a done deal there. Kenny Atkinson all the way or Mike Miller, that's it. It's plain and simple. But this kid McDaniels, though, I agree with what Mark said, though. If we could get him, I say trade Kevin Knox. But the thing is he going to be a starter or is he coming off the bench? That's the thing.
Coming into the league, he's probably going to come off the bench for a couple of years at least. He's going to have to get stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like he's 200 pounds. He's a stream being out there, man. He's gonna take some time for him to get stronger.
I hope they get him. I hope if the Knicks get him, that's a steal right there. And he's definitely all-star potential. But, like I said before, in my opinion, this year's draft is, in my opinion, it's build your backcourt. And I do believe that Leon Rose got a trade in his pocket for like a Harry Giles. I don't want to hear about Christian Wood. But like a Harry Giles type of player, I think he got some type of thing going on with that under the books, But
I think so.
If we get McDaniels, though, hey, that's highway robbery in my opinion,
A lot of listen, he's all over the board in different mock drafts. You know what I'm saying? He's all over the board from 10 to 25 sometimes.
The only thing I agree with what you said earlier, that he's he's a little small, that he got to get a little big, But that could be developed easily, you know what I mean? But if we get him, I'm happy for it right there. But as far as Mike, like I said, Mike Woodson too, listen, Kenny Atkinson, and that's it. Forget about it.
Well, I can't wait until we find out who we're gonna have, man. This whole thing is just waiting too long.
And I like what you said about the NBA season. In my opinion, I think the NBA season should be shut down and wait till next season happens. That 4 games is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. And you know, players not gonna look. They got paid. They got their money. They're not trying to come back to play. Yeah. Maybe they will. I don't. Maybe they do want to come back and play 4 games. I don't know.
And I was looking at yesterday. I was looking at the jump, the NBA jump. They had an interview with Doc Rivers. He doesn't even know if he'll come back to coach if the season comes back. He said it himself. He's like he's not sure if he'll come back on the benches to coach because they even got a 68-year-old assistant coach on with his staff. He's not coming back. Period. Right. So what I think this NBA season shut down and call it a day. Wait till next season. I mean, I know players feel like they got cheated, but you know, we're talking about your health and your lives. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then what's going to happen because some players not going to want to come back. What's
Larry
the NBA
Nance
going to do
Jr.
then?
said he ain't coming back.
Who?
Larry Nance Jr. He said he's worried because he's got some treatment that he said he's doing for himself, Crohn's disease, something like that. He's not. Okay. He says he's not too sure if he wants to play.
So that's what I'm saying. So then what? So what are we going to do? What's the NBA going to do when some players say I'm not coming back? They're going to pick up replacement players?
Yeah. How about what if you got a player like Kawhi Leonard that says he doesn't want to play?
Right.
What you gonna do?
Right. What you gonna do then? You know, I guess what they would do is they wouldn't announce that the NBA is coming back until they know they got everybody on board. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think they would do.
Season done deal. I don't know.
You know, now I agree with you though. I think it should be a done deal. You know, get the teams that's going to be in the playoffs, find one location. You know, they were looking at 2 locations, Las Vegas on the West Coast, Orlando on the East Coast. You have those 2 locations. Make sure everybody is tested and everybody is coronavirus free, right? Yeah. And then everybody's quarantined in those locations and you play. And you play the tournament, televise it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what they need to do. But
I'm happy you got me now, man, because I only can catch your show when I'm coming out of work.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad I got you, man, because I know sometimes you're in, and then you got to pop out and do some work, then you come back in and pop out and do some work.
I'm walking around and I lose reception sometimes.
Okay, yeah. So now I'm glad I got to you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I'm about to head up out of here, man. I appreciate you, bro.
All right, brother.
No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys, man. I want to give a shout out to Mighty Knicks for the super chat. He said, why Knicks fans hate shooters? This Jalen kid shoots like Bill Cartwright. Bro, sometimes you got to look at the talent over the shooting and trust that the shooting is going to develop later on. We're a young team. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you can get shooters. I mean, you can get specialists that are shooters. The Knicks tried to get specialists this season, right? Who on their previous teams and in previous years were knocking it down at 38, 39% clip. Then they came to the Knicks this year and it didn't happen because the chemistry wasn't right. You know what I mean? And it wasn't catching the ball in rhythm and all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, are you going to, if you have a chance to pick up a talent, a guy that you look at and say, man, this guy can really do something, or this one guy who's real stiff, can't really do nothing, boy, he can knock down threes. Which one are you going to do? You're going to pick up the guy that's got the talent and the potential to rise up. Because if he's got that kind of potential, then he's probably got the potential to be able to knock down the 3. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of look long-term as well, not just short-term, and understand you can pick up some 3-point shooters. You know, you can find some 3-point shooters. You can pay them, minimum, a minimum wage salary or whatever it is. So, that's what I'm saying. You gotta, that's what I'm saying. I seen somebody who made a comment about the NBA. I want to read this because it looks like K5 the General says, Sim, you got to take chances though. You can't wait till next year. No vaccine or treatment. They got to play. You can't live in fear. I mean, I'm not talking about living in fear. I said, they can do the playoffs, But what is the point of having teams come back for 4 or 5 games and then go back home, right? Majority of the league is not in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Or 16 of the teams in the league are in the playoffs. 14 are not in the playoffs. Why have those 14 teams play 4 games, 5 games, and then go back home to their families? I mean, the only reason to do that is because of money. Now, the playoffs is one thing. You know what I'm saying? But those 4 games, like, they don't mean that. For what? What would be the purpose? Explain to me what that purpose would be. You know what I'm saying? You can take the teams that are in the playoffs. If you want to give them 4 or 5 games to warm up for the playoffs, you do a new schedule with those teams that are in the playoffs. Let them play a couple games so that they can warm up and then go into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just, having guys come home for no reason. I don't think it's living in fear. I think it's being smart at this point in time. Because all it takes is one of those guys to have it and they spread it to the entire team. How bad would that look? You know what I'm saying? It's not going to look bad on the league or anybody else if they just cancel the season and then go into the playoffs. It's not going to look bad. You understand? This is unprecedented. But how bad is it going to look if they come back and one of these teams, everybody on the team, has COVID-19? How bad would that be? You know what I'm saying? Not just, how it looks, but for the team, for those families, for all of that. You know what I mean? You gotta I think you gotta let the season go. Start next season with some good plans in place. You know what I'm saying? I think that's how you gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? Andre said the NBA players need their money to live their lifestyle. They've already gotten their money for this season. They got their money for this season. And then you got players who are on contracts, players that are already on contracts, their money is guaranteed. They're going to get that money next year, the year after, the year after. It's the players whose contract that ran out, they may have some issues over the summer. You know what I'm saying? But the season coming back, it'll help. It might help, keep the salary cap up. So for those players who over the summer need to have to sign contracts over the summer or free agents over the summer, it'll help them. But for the players that already are under contract, they got their money. They ain't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? They're not worried about it. The main reason to bring back the season, even if it's just for 4 games, is so that they can satisfy those contracts and not have to give money back. That is the main reason. And I don't know if it's the reason that should dictate the decision. That's what I think. I don't know if it's the reason that should dictate the decision. Find a way to negotiate with the TV, with all the TV stations and everything. Go an extra year. You know what I'm saying? If the contract was supposed to end in 2023, extend it to 2024 or something. You know what I mean? Figure out a way to do it like that. I'm sure you can figure out a way. This is an unprecedented time for everybody, even the TV stations. Although a lot of the TV stations' ratings are probably through the roof because everyone's paying attention and everybody's home. But it's still unprecedented. Find a way to negotiate it out and make it work, I think. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow night, 10:30. I'm trying to be on time, though. Okay? And we're gonna break down those the 1994 NBA Finals and the 1999 NBA Finals. All right. So I'm out of here. Be peaceful. Be safe. Talk to y'all soon, man. Peace.